Vlogalog. So, life's been busy, which is why I missed last week. I'm getting ready to move back to dorm, so it's like reorganizing things and then also working at the same time and finding out I really don't have a lot of time to decide and figure out how to move to dorm. But this week, it's gotten a lot easier, and I move into dorm tomorrow, so things should definitely be a lot less hectic, especially since I won't be working like 5 days out of the week anymore. But anyways, this week's topic is about what we're willing to give up to like help keep Mother Nature a thing and life on Earth sustainable, instead of just having to like hope we find another planet at a time where we can actually like make it where we can terraform it and like, you know, just a way to keep Earth, you know, livable. So, as far as, like, the food thing, I can't go vegetarian. I can barely manage going vegetarian once a week when I need to. So, like, trying to keep up that lifestyle just because I'm so accustomed to eating meat, it would not go well. I could, however, possibly see myself going pescatarian because I really like seafood, and, like, eating seafood, like, eating fish would probably just because it's something where I like remember that, oh yeah, fish is an option and I can actually sustainably eat that for a while, wouldn't be as bad. So I could potentially do that, and that I don't know necessarily whether or not how helpful or more harmful that would be. Though I kind of have to imagine that living off of seafood when being near a coast that brings in seafood is a lot more sustainable than, you know, growing livestock year-round to be eaten at any given time. But the other option I have, because of the area I live in and will probably be living in for the foreseeable, at least for the foreseeable future, is I could live off of game meat, which is like elk and deer and buffalo and bear, if possible, because the bear meat is a thing. I haven't tried bear meat, but I have tried elk, and elk's really good. I think I've tried deer before, but I can't remember. But yeah, it's game meat, and I know someone who's lived, who had a family of, I think like at least 5 or more survive off of like 2 elk that had been killed in the year or something like that, and they'd survived off of the meat provided from that, from those kills. And I think that probably will slightly touch on the whole idea of hunting, which, as far as my view is that trophy hunting's terrible, and if you do hunt, you should be doing it for more than just trophy hunting, and it's something that you're doing to like where you're using every part of the animal, or as much of the animal as you can. Like, you use the meat to eat, and the pelt for like a rug or a blanket or something, and then like maybe the last portion of it is like in the background where you can kind of see the head over my shoulder where it's slightly decorational. But there's a lot of but yeah, so that's just kind of my view on hunting. But yeah, so I think it's sustainable, and it's definitely goes into a thing where it becomes more a matter of a matter of nature having already provided for it. So it's not necessarily something that we're taking away from nature. It's something that nature naturally provides for and creates. Though then again, if everyone went to this to this kind of lifestyle necessary, it would become more problematic because we would be thinning out so much of the natural life. But more so than is typical. But there are people I know who do go hunting, and they go for it for the food that they can get and keep for their family. And I think that's a lot more sustainable, and I'd rather live off of that if I could possibly, because I have the ability to in the area I am, because there is wildlife that needs to like be sustained and kept at an appropriate level, I guess is the way of talking about it. But yeah, I could see living off of that way. Otherwise, as far as like just like energy needs in general, I think it's really cool because that at my local gym that I've been going to during the summer, There is on the ellipticals and such, they have at the end of your workout, they let you know how much energy you generated to light a light bulb and for how long. And the less you have going on during it, the more the more power you generate, and it also depends on like the length and what is it? The length and like I want to say duration, but that's different. That's the same thing as length. The length and intensity. There we go. The intensity of your workout. So I think that's pretty cool. And if like you could harness that kind of power from gyms and just had it that way, that'd be a pretty neat thing to do. To have, you know, generate these buildings. But honestly, I don't necessarily think that might be like as sustainable as what Alex suggested, which was solar, which growing up in a place that harnessed solar and wind energy and also started with the hydroelectric, where it was electricity generated from the flow of the river because of Hoover Dam, that it started with that, and then now we have solar and we have wind energy that was being generated or being collected and harnessed to help power for the state and whatnot to be more sustainable. I would be willing to go for solar. I don't know that that wind energy is necessarily as viable up where I am, but I'd definitely be willing to go solar because it'd be a lot more sustainable for where I'm at. But otherwise, as far as like transportation, I'd love to go back to riding a bike. And I am kind of in a place where I can ride a bike basically anywhere, but also like it's hard to deny the comfort that a car brings necessarily, in the sense of how much more you can carry in your car back to and from anywhere you're going, which is kind of where my mind is at because of moving and everything. Like I'd hate to be that person on a bus with bags of things trying to move into college. But maybe that just means we need to change our transportation system or something. But who knows? Yeah, and like I don't want to imagine doing that on a bike. That would be terrible and horrifying. But yeah, I like to walk places. It tends to be how I get around most of the time during the school year, anyways. In the town I'm in during school, is walking anywhere I need to go, and then like a weekend trip up to different places. But then, you know, so though I think one kind of form of transportation that may or may not help that I'd love to do also is like going back to riding a horse around town, because that'd be cool, and I love that, and I really want to I know a bit about horseback riding, and I've been horseback riding, and I'd love to have a horse and be able to do that, but whether or not that's necessarily better for well, that does seem for the most part on a grander scale better for the environment. I don't know if the speed of it necessarily helps, and then again it also becomes a question of like, again, you probably have more you can do with a horse and like saddle packs that you can carry around than you could on a bike. But that's about all I can think of for things I'd be willing to give up. As I think the other thing is, there is actually one other thing I'd like to do, and I tend to do, but I've been pretty bad about it lately, which is an idea, and I'm sorry, because I know the laundry machine just like picked up, so you guys probably hear that too. But the other thing I would totally do is like at least once or twice a week trying to go with as little power as necessary, because I know me personally and like my boyfriend with it, whenever we had a place of our own, we both really like dim lights as a setting instead of like full bright fluorescent lights. We like to have like, if I could just have the house a couple of days where it was just all we had at night was candles and like the gas stove for food, I'd be happy and be able to do that. So yeah, those would be the things I'd be willing to give up. So I'd be willing to give up electricity and the internet for like 1 to 2 days a week and only have like candles around the house. I'd be willing to change my diet slightly in the sense that I'd go to either stuff that was hunted and killed for food, to survive a year, or just go to pescatarian. And I'm willing for all forms of alternative energy, because I'm kind of in an area where you can kind of almost harness just about anything for an alternate form of energy that's better for the environment. So, yeah, that's my spiel on it. I haven't seen what everyone else said, because this is the first day that's stopped being busy for me. But I hope everyone else is doing well, and I hope all of you are doing well, and I will see you all next week.